Hello and welcome to my new channel, Lost in the Pages. My channel might be a little bit confusing because I've posted so many videos in a row from last year. I'm in the process currently, hopefully by the time this video is up, the process is done, of transferring all my videos from my old channel to this channel so that my content can be split up, so that the other channel is vlogs and like journal content, and then this one will be solely book content, book vlogs, all that good stuff. So it feels really good to do that. Now, I have not filmed in so long because I've been traveling around Europe for like 2 months. Sorry about the siren outside. And I also have a pretty big life update that I have not shared yet, but my life's been pretty busy, so I have not been able to film, but I have this video that I really want to film. So the Goodreads Choice Award nominees have been posted. I've been really enjoying watching everyone's videos, like the reaction, upcoming vlogs that people want to do, for those books that have been nominated. And after watching Sid Bookworm's video of the book she's going to read, I picked up the hidden, oh man, now I can't remember what it's called. The Veiled Kingdom. I decided to get that from Kindle Unlimited and start it. And then I thought, I have a booktube channel. Why don't I also do a video? Sorry, the light's changing. I look like so red. It's like, why don't I do a video like everyone else is doing that I'm really excited. Like, I'm so excited to watch their videos. I want to create a video too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose 7 books from 7 of the categories from the nominees and try to read all 7 of those books. I know that like Sid Bookworm's going to read multiple books from each category, and I cannot wait to see those vlogs. It's such an exciting time. The Goodreads Choice Awards and everyone's opinions on it. So I have already chosen the books, and I actually have like a little TBR paper that's going in my new journal system. And yeah, let's look at those books. Now, I will say I am choosing books that are, of course, I'm interested in, but are on Kindle Unlimited, or I'm able to find a free version of that book, or I already own the book, kind of. There are a few of these books I want to buy, but we'll see if I buy them or not. So this round for the nominees ends in a week. So this will be a week vlog of me reading these books, hopefully getting through all of them and then giving my thoughts on them. And yeah, so let's look at the nominees, and I'm going to show you what I chose for each category. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. And I know it's just been like a little weird me posting all these older videos, but I do, because I don't want to just delete those videos, I want them. And hopefully now we're back on track. Right now it's November 17th, so we're like up to date with the videos. So let's go look at the nominees and I'll tell you what I chose. All right, so I'm on Goodreads, and here you can see there's 7 days, 8 hours, and 26 minutes before this round ends. All right, so I'm not going to choose a book from each category. There were some of these categories I have no interest in any of the books. So let's choose fiction. There are quite a few in this category that I'm interested in. Sally Rooney, I want to read this one so bad. I want it to come out in paperback before I buy it, so that's why I haven't chosen that one yet. When I was in Europe, I wanted the UK version of Blue Sisters, and I was not able to find it. I found it once, and I was just like, oh, I'll find that somewhere else. And then after that, I could not find that book because I think the UK version's so much prettier. The Wedding People, I thought this was a romance, and I think romance is like a subgenre, but I thought it was just a romance. So I am a little bit curious about this one, but the one that I'm going to choose is Here One Moment. Now, I will say this cover is so ugly. I'm sorry, but this book, it looks old, like it came out in the 80s or the 90s. Like, I don't know if that is like accurate, but it looks like an old book. Like, I hate it. but the story seems really interesting. And this is the one that I'm going to choose for fiction. I did find a free audio of this book. I don't really want to purchase it because I don't like the cover. I'm not going to choose a I'm not choosing a book for historical fiction. I wasn't able to find any of these on Kindle Unlimited, or I guess I didn't look for all of them, but the ones I'm interested in I couldn't find on Kindle Unlimited or the audio for them, so I'm not going to choose any books from there. Now for mystery thriller, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that a Riley Sager is in this category, but man, this was one of his worst books, in my opinion. I'm very interested in a lot of these. Listen for the Lie. I've been curious about the Midnight Feast, but Jan here on BookTube did not like it, so I don't know if I'm gonna like it either. The last one, At the Wedding, not what she seems, but I am gonna choose The God of the Woods because I actually have this in physical form. I have the physical book for The God of the Woods, so this is the book that I'm going to choose for mystery thriller. So psyched to start that book. Unfortunately, I'm not going to choose a book for science fiction. None of these really jumped out to me, like stood out. The only one that I was considering was this one. It used to be on Kindle Unlimited, so I was like, oh, I can read that one, and it's not anymore. Oh, actually, the Ministry of Time. I am curious to read that, but it's not on Kindle Unlimited, and I can't find it anywhere else free. So I'm not going to choose any from science fiction. For horror, I want to read so many of these books. Murder Road, I Was a Teenage Slasher. Stephen Graham Jones, I have a few books from him that I haven't read yet, but I do really want to read his books. We Used to Live Here, I want to read this book so bad. But I am going to choose The Eyes Are the Best Part, which I don't know. I'm going to try to read this book, but like in horror, anything with eyes, like I cannot watch. So we'll see. I'm going to try it. It's on Kindle Unlimited. A lot of these are not. I am curious. Oh, I'm curious about this one too. But we're going to try this one. We'll see if I'm able to read it. I guess I'm not like seeing someone's eye, or stuff going on, but I don't know if I want to read about it. We'll see. But I know a lot of people like this book, so obviously it's chosen for this. I'm not going to choose any from debut novel, audiobook, so we're going to skip to young adult fantasy. So many from here as well. I have the Heartless Hunter, but it's packed away, and I also have the audio for it, but I want to tandem read it, so I'm not going to read that one. I still need to start this series. For this category, I need to read book 2 so I can read book 3. I really want to read this one. So many from here I want to read, but I'm going to choose Where the Dark Stands Still. Now, we're going to see. I would have to purchase this book because I can't find it free anywhere, and I know Walmart has it. I'm going to leave this one kind of for last or closer to last so I can make sure that I do want to purchase it. But a lot of these I really want to read. I almost picked this book up a while back. Wish I had it. So that's going to be my choice for young adult fantasy. Oh, I'm not choosing any from young adult fiction or nonfiction. Oh, I skipped one. Oh, I skipped quite a few. Okay, for romance. Now, I am not a romance girly. I read them here and there a little bit, but I like when romance is more of a subgenre. Or it has to be like really sad or have adventure or like war. It has to have more than just like cutesy romance. Except I did just buy the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Is that what it's called? That's a cutesy romance, so I guess I can't really say that. But the one here that I'm interested in, oh yeah, the one that I bought is the first book to this series or whatever, is The Love of My Afterlife. Now, I don't like this cover. I really dislike romance covers. They're so bright and colorful and like happy looking. But someone on YouTube, I cannot remember her name, but she recommended this. She said it was really, really good. And it seems I'm interested about it because it's like it's about our protagonist who goes to the afterlife and she like meets the love of her life, but he's not supposed to be there and he gets sent back to Earth. The concept seems super interesting. So this one I would also have to purchase. So we will see if I end up reading that one. And then I'm going kind of slow, I guess. For romantasy, Quicksilver was so good. I'm going to choose The Veiled Kingdom, which is the one that I started and then realized I should make this video. And I started the on Kindle Unlimited, but I might purchase that one because I started it. It seems really good. I think I'm going to like it, so I might buy the physical copy. So I'm going to wait on that one. I think I will be voting for When the Moon Hatched, or no, it's going to be When the Moon Hatched. But yeah, I've already read quite a few of these. And then lastly, for fantasy, I tried The Familiar. I could not get into it. I'm curious. I want to read so many of these. I want to read The Lost Story, A Song to Drown Rivers, The Book of Doors. Man, I want to read so many of these. But An Academy for Liars. The one I'm going to choose is Five Broken Blades. I remember when this came out, I almost purchased it and just prioritized other books, but it is on Kindle Unlimited, and I am curious about this one, so I'm going to read this one for fantasy. And I think that is all of the categories that I'm choosing from. So I'm going to start Here One Moment. This will be my first read. It is in fiction. I really have high hopes for this book. I mean, I have high hopes for all of these. I wouldn't have chosen them, but I really think I'm going to like this book. So that will be my first read. And yeah, those are the books I'm going to choose. All right, let's do a little update. It's November 19th, and yesterday I finished Here One Moment by Liane Moriarty. I gave it 3 stars. It was a long book. I didn't realize that this is a 500-page book. Now, I expect that size more for like a fantasy. I don't know. I thought it was too long. I listened to it, and I'm really glad that I listened to it, because I don't think I could have physically read this book if I were just reading it physically, and it worked for like this challenge. I think I would have DNF'd it. It was so long, and I liked the concept. Like the book is all about like, you know, living life, or what would you do if you only had so much time left to live. I mean, there's a lot in this book, but that's kind of the gist. But there were like 8 POVs, which is also fine. But one of them was our woman that was on the plane. I don't know if I already explained what the book is about. She tells everyone on this flight how they're gonna die and when. And we go so far in the past, like we go so in depth with her story, and I just didn't care. I understand that it's important for this story to learn about her background, but the book was just too long. Now, I will say that this book is very similar, like the concept, to The Measure, which I read and loved. I love The Measure. I think it's such a fantastic book, but that book made me like cry. Like that book, you felt so much for your characters. There was a lot of emotion. And again, it was the same, like people knew when they were gonna die, and you know, what would you do with that time left? How would that change how you're living today? It was just a better book, and it was so much shorter. I'm gonna change my camera a little bit. The Measure was 150 pages shorter, and it just felt like the perfect size book. So I gave it 3 stars. I would not really recommend it. I would recommend The Measure. If you're gonna read one of those, I would read The Measure instead. And I just didn't feel anything really for these characters. It wasn't emotional enough for me, with, you know, how deep the concept was of like death. But I mean, it wasn't terrible. It kept my attention, but I think it was because it was kind of a book where you didn't have to pay like too close attention to it, especially when we were learning about the woman's whole life. Like, you know, I paid attention, but it wasn't something you needed to like really pay attention to. And it was 500 pages. Also, the cover's so ugly. Look at this cover. It's so ugly. But I did finish it. That was a very long book. So then I started The God of the Woods. This cover is the UK edition. I love it. I love this cover. I saw this in Dubrovnik and knew everyone was reading it, so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get this book. Now, I am breezing through this book. I read half of this book in one sitting. I read 200 pages in one, like, yesterday night. I read so much. Now, I didn't even read the back of this book before starting it. I still haven't even read the back. But I knew, like I know that it's in the thriller mystery genre, or like that category, but I've heard people say that it is more of a mystery than a thriller, that it's a slower read, and I agree with that. We're at a summer camp, and one of the campers, Barbara, has gone missing. That happens within like the first 2, maybe even the first page, we realize that she's missing. And the rest of the book, I'm on page like 360. I only have like 40 pages left. We're trying to figure out, you know, what happened to her. We have multiple POVs. Right now we have 6 POVs, but I think there's gonna be more. And there's an investigator, her friend, not the coordinators, the people that work at the camp. We're going into a bunch of different POVs. There's so many lies being said. It's a lot of information because, okay, so we have multiple POVs, which I'm fine with. But then we also have a bunch of different timelines that we're following that you got to pay attention to. So in this one here we're following Alice. It has the different timelines, and then the one that we're in will be in bold. So we're following like the present time, and then what happened, this other incident that happened in the past, and it's very interesting, but I have no idea what's going to happen. There are a lot of suspects, and like I said, lies are being told, and it is very interesting. But I think I just went from a book with like 8 to 10 POVs, and now I'm back in another book with a bunch of POVs and a lot of information about those characters. I'm more interested to learn about these characters than I am in the previous book. So this is keeping my interests more, but I'm ready to be in like one person's head or like 2 people. But I do like when we're jumping timelines. I do like that in a book, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 6 timelines that we're kind of jumping back and forth in. So I'm going to finish I'm going to finish God of the Woods this afternoon, and then I'm going to jump straight into fantasy, which I already started, the Veiled Kingdom, which I have on my Kindle. I'm not going to buy the physical book. I have it on my Kindle, and then I'm thinking I might go into romance, and I might change the romance book that I'm going to read. I was going to read The Love of My Afterlife, but I found a free version of This Summer It Will Be Different. Yeah, so I found a free version of This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I'm curious about this author. I have a book by her, but I think it was published last year, so it's not a part of this list, but I think I'd prefer to read that because I really don't want to have The Love of My Afterlife. I hate the colors of this book, and I would have to purchase it. And also, this is dumb, but there's a quote by Colleen Hoover on the cover, and I don't want Colleen Hoover's name on this book. Like, I saw that and I was like, I don't want this book. Really, I don't want her name on the book. So I'm gonna change the romance after this, jump right into fantasy, and hopefully maybe finish the fantasy book today. But that's my update for God of the Woods. Right now, I'm thinking a 3.5 or a 4. It's not feeling like a 5-star right now, but we'll see. There might be just this crazy plot twist at the end that wraps the book up really well. But I'm gonna continue to read. Alright, let's do another update. It's November 20th, and I have my iced coffee here. Look, I got the red cup. I never get it. Every year, it's like I don't make it in time to get it, or I forget, and then people ask me like, oh, did you get the red cup? No. So, last night I finished The Veiled Kingdom. It's such a short book. It's like 350 pages. Very short. Thank God. That book sucks. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe that it's chosen that it's a nominee. I'm like, I hated it. Okay, so it had potential at the start. You have this princess who is the heir to the throne, but her father doesn't want her to inherit the throne, and he keeps her in hiding, so she's like a thief on the streets, and she gets picked up by the rebellion that lives underground in this underground like city. And I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And that's where I like stopped to then restart when I decided to do this challenge. And I almost purchased it because it seemed like I would really like this. This book is just all romance. It's not even like love. It was so gross. Like I skipped over pages and pages of just, there was some like progression in the story of like the rebellion and her father, because he's a bad ruler who kills people, but we like didn't learn about their powers. Like she's not supposed to, she does not have powers, but like apparently everyone else does, and or at least that's what I understood, but we didn't even learn about the powers. Like I still don't understand the magic system, and it was just so romance heavy, and not even like they're in love. He doesn't even like her. He's just, it's this possessive, like controlling kind of love. He feels like he owns her, or that like she belongs to him. I don't know if they're supposed to be fated mates, but it was so icky. I was really disappointed. Or I guess, I don't know. I would have been so mad if I purchased this. I would have returned it. That's how much I hated it. I gave it 1 star, and it was gross. I think in that category of romantasy, there are books that are, you know, have romance but also have a really unique story. I'd like dragons and a lot more going on than just the romance. Now, yes, they're more romance heavy than like maybe some that are just in the fantasy category, but this was just, it was not good. It was a terrible book. So besides that, thank goodness it was a short book, I started The Eyes Are the Best Part. I'm on page 218. It's also a short book. It's 284 pages. It is gross. I had no idea what this book is about, but we're following this family, this mother and her 2 daughters. Their dad just left them, and the mother is obviously like very distraught. She's kind of falling apart. Okay, I don't want to give too much away, especially because it is such a short book, but one of the daughters becomes very obsessed with eyes. Like she's dreaming about them. She's trying to attain them, and this is kind of I don't know if revenge is the right word, but yeah, kind of like a revenge story. She has someone in her sights that she wants their eyes. But a lot of the description of the eyes and you know, the consumption of them is disgusting. But I'm gonna, it's not awful, it's not, or at least not yet, it's not terrible, like terribly gross yet. So I'm gonna finish this maybe this morning, because I think I only have like 70 pages left. So I'm gonna continue to read that, and then I might go into fantasy or romance. I'm not in the mood to read a romance at all, but I don't know what other category to choose, because I can't find free versions in like any of the other categories I'm interested in. So I'm still like, I kind of just want to read the romance to get it over with. But who knows, like maybe it would be this like great book, but I don't want to read it. I just realized how crazy this eyelash is. Like it's like on its side. Sorry about that. I'm not refilming all those clips. So I'm gonna try to fix that. It's November 21st and I finished, I don't know if I already talked about it, The Eyes Are the Best Part. It was good. I'm glad I read it. It was gross, but not like terribly gross to where I couldn't read it. We liked and disliked our main character a lot. Like, we were rooting for her, but then we also don't really like her. And I liked the ending. So I gave it 3.5 stars. It's not the best horror I've ever read, but I thought it was good. And then I started 5 Broken Blades, but I started it, it seems like it's a good book, but you're following 5 characters, and I was just like, I don't want to follow 5 different POVs. And the thing is, the character seemed good, but I'm reading it digitally. I feel like I would need a physical copy to like take notes or something. I was getting characters mixed up and I'm feeling a little bit burnt out. Like I'm just reading nonstop and I have this like red splotch from my blush. It felt like it was gonna be work to read that book. So I DNF'd it and decided to pick up A Song to Drown Rivers instead, because that's also a nominee and it's on Kindle Unlimited. I don't know how I feel about it though. Like, I'm interested, like it's an interesting read. It's supposed to be a retelling, but I'm not sure what story it is. I almost feel like this should fall under romantasy. I don't know, it feels there's not enough adventure right now. It's kind of more scheming that's going on. It's not bad. I just really don't know how I feel about it. I don't feel like it's this great story yet. I don't know. I'm 83% through, and I mean, I'm interested. I just don't know. And I found today, I was just like looking at books on Amazon, and I looked at The Dragon Mage because it's on like my wish list, and I saw that it's free on Kindle Unlimited, so I was like, oh my gosh, I want to read this book sometime next year. I do want to tandem read it. I want the physical copy. It's such a beautiful cover. I also found The Graveyard Shift by Emil Real, her newest novella. I'm so excited to read this. I feel like everyone's already read it, and the cover is so beautiful. I love all the lime green like fonts that we've seen this year, and I saw it at Walmart. I was like, oh, I have to get that because I really think that I'm going to like this, and I'm planning to read this next week. Like I want to do a week of reading spooky horror, spooky books, and this will definitely be one of them. That's the plan anyway. But that's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna finish A Song to Drown Rivers today. It's a short book. It's only 350 pages, which was another thing. 5 Broken Blades was closer to 500 pages, I think. After I finish A Song to Drown Rivers, I think I'm gonna go into romance. I want to read Where the Dark Stands Still, but I can't find it. If I were to buy it on Amazon, it wouldn't get here until like mid next week. And then it's not, it was supposed to be at Walmart and it wasn't there, so I don't know where to get it. So we'll see. I might just have to drive further away to get that book. But the romance book, I have the Audible, I have it on audio, so that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna finish this and then go right into the romance, and then not into the dark, oh my gosh, Where the Dark Stands Still will be the last book, but I'm gonna continue to read. It's Monday, the 25th. The challenge is over. I have not looked at the nominees that won this round, but it's over now. And I have my review on the books. I'm going to talk about those briefly, and then the books that I haven't spoken about yet. So the first book that I read was fiction, and I read Here One Moment. I did vote for that one because it's the only one in fiction that I read. I gave it 3 stars. I already said I think it was too long and we spent too much time in a few POVs, but the story was good and it intrigued me. But it would have been hard to read physically. Then I read The God of the Woods, which I have not fully spoken about yet. I gave this 4 stars. This is a bunch of POVs, multiple timelines. It is slow. This is not a thriller. It is categorized as a thriller mystery. To me, this is just a mystery, but I went into this book knowing it was going to be slow. I saw other people's review and their thoughts were that they were kind of disappointed because it wasn't very thrilling. So I already knew that going into it. I knew it was going to be a slower read, but I liked it. I really enjoyed the ending. Had it been more thrilling, then it probably would have gotten 5 stars. But I enjoyed it. I also loved the cover and I liked the time jumping a lot. So, and I think that going into all the POVs were interesting and like necessary, whereas my first book, they weren't as necessary. So that was the second book that I read, and this falls under mystery thriller. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read a book that I do not have physically, and I'm very glad that I did not buy it, and that's The Veiled Kingdom, which I gave 1 star. It was awful. Don't recommend it. I'd be really annoyed if that one won. I don't think it's going to. I think the one that I voted for is gonna win. So that's the next book that I read, and I read that one audio, and I'm glad I did not buy that one. Then I read horror, and I read The Eyes Are the Best Part. I gave it 3.5 stars. I liked it. It was very fast paced, a shorter book, and it was gross, but not too gross. Now, when I spoke about it before, I realized I didn't really talk about some of the deeper messages in this book. There's a lot of conversation about race and feminism. Some people are some people are really racist in the book, and then some people are like racist, like trying, I don't know how to explain it. Like they're trying so hard to not be racist that they're racist. And that annoys our main character, obviously. And then this character is also trying to be like very feminist, but that it's like, okay, the character is also annoyed because like, okay, stop trying to be so feminist, it's offensive. So I thought that was interesting, like those conversations, and then also like family and loss. So there are deeper conversations, like there are deeper meanings. There's a deeper conversation within the book than it just being a gross horror. So I enjoyed it, but it was not my favorite horror I've ever read. I gave it 3.5 stars. 3 seemed too low and 4 seemed too high. Then I read A Song to Drown Rivers. I don't know how I feel about this book still. I gave it 4 stars, but I don't know if it almost feels a little too high. This was under fantasy, but this did not feel like a fantasy. There was no magic system. It was not fantastical. It felt very much, and I could be totally wrong about this, but it felt like a historical fiction. That's kind of how it like felt. It almost felt like Mulan, but it's not that story, but like a tale of heroism, a lot of like betrayal. It's a tragic love story. It did not feel like a fantasy, unless it just completely went over my head. The next book that I read was A Song to Drown Rivers, and this book is a historical fantasy about womanhood, war, sacrifice, and love against all odds. Our main character is very beautiful. She's like the most gorgeous woman, and this person, their names are hard to say. He asks her if she would like to become the bride for the emperor. I think that's what he is, the emperor, and be like their spy to help take down his reign, because he's a bad emperor. I think that's what he is. And so he trains her to be a spy, to marry the king or emperor and help take down his kingdom from within. It was very interesting. I enjoyed it. We like our characters. I feel like we have conflicting feelings about characters. It feels very like emotional. It is tragic. It just didn't feel like a fantasy book. It didn't have like a magic system. It just didn't feel like a fantasy. It didn't feel like it belonged in this category. This felt more like historical fiction more than historical fantasy. That's how I felt. I did like it. It was also a shorter book, and it's a standalone, which I did like. I gave it 4 stars. I don't know if that's too high a ranking, but I think the ending got me. I think that's where that last, like it was gonna be a 3 and the ending made it a 4. So it was good. I don't think it'll win, and I don't think it deserves to win. Then I read Where the Dark Stands Still. I really enjoyed this book a lot. I tabbed it a bunch. I underlined, I drew in here. I had such a good time with this book. Now, this book is Polish folklore inspired, I think. But the names are all very interesting in this book, but let me kind of
explain what it's about. So ゚ is our protagonist who has magic, but her magic is wrong. She's considered like a witch, and the church obviously does not approve, and she wants to get rid of her magic. So she goes into this wood, this very dangerous wood, to get a flower, and if whoever gets that flower is granted one wish from the like keeper of the wood, and her wish is going to be to get rid of her magic. And she tries to get that flower, but the god of the wood, or he's the demon actually, the demon of the wood does not let her take a flower, and instead of taking away her magic, because he doesn't understand why she wants to get rid of it, he tells her, stay with me for a year, and like be my assistant, or like my work for me for a year, and at the end of the year, if you still want to get rid of your magic, then I'll grant you that wish. It's so whimsical and magical. I love how descriptive this book is. Like, I feel like I could see the world, the wood, the house, the characters that are described like so well. Like, I can so vividly picture them. It's just good writing. It was such a good book. There are aspects of this book that remind me like Beauty and the Beast, not the story of Beauty and the Beast, but aspects of the story. I was like, oh, that I really like that. It reminds me of Beauty and the Beast. So I want to read this little part of it. So she makes a deal with him. Yes, I'll work for you for a year, but she lives with him in his crumbling manor. She realizes that she's not the first person to make this deal, so it is kind of like a mystery. She's trying to uncover some things. If ゚ wants to survive the year and return home, she must unravel her host's spool of secrets and face the ghost, figurative and literal, of his past. Because something wakes in the woods, something deadly and without mercy, something that frightens even the lazy, and it cannot be defeated unless ゚ embraces the monster she always feared she'd become. It's a good book. It's really good. I will say I'm not a fan of the cover. That's the reason I haven't purchased this book. Like, this challenge pushed me to buy it. I think the back is really pretty. Like, I like the trees. I wish it were just the woods instead of having them there, even though seeing him, it kind of helped me picture him a little bit better, because he has antlers, which seems very frustrating to have these huge antlers. Like, that would be really annoying. But I'm just not a very big fan of the cover, and I think I was just waiting, hoping that a different cover would come out. But it was a very good read, and I gave it 5 stars, and I have not read a 5-star book in forever, so it was really nice to read something that I thought that deserves 5 stars. I did not read the romance. I was going to read This Summer Will Be Different. I started the book and was just like, I do not care. I do not want to read this book. And just decided not to force myself to read a book I didn't care about. Like, this book I knew I was going to read. I knew I was going to read The God of the Woods. The Veiled Kingdom I wanted to read, even though no one needs to read that book. Like, all the other books I was curious about, but that one I was just like, I don't read romance, not very often, so I did not read that one, and I think that's okay. So when I voted for all the books that I read except for Romantasy. I did vote for When the Moon Hatched, which I think should win. That book was amazing. So, but the rest of them I voted for the ones that I read, because those are the only ones in that category that I read. But I am curious to see what won. Oh, the final round opens tomorrow, so I can't see who won yet for the final round. But that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I love doing challenges where I set a goal of so many books to read. Like, I have a TBR that I want to read, so this was really fun for me. It is tiring, but it is fun. I have a TBR for my next video. I want to read all horror and 1 fall romance. The only reason I'm reading that one is because everyone has read it and it is fall themed. So we'll see how I get on with that book. But I will have more reading vlogs coming up. Thank you so much for watching this really long video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.